Brother, are you all right?
No, I am not all right. I just shared a bottle of Kanar with Damar. That rhymes.
You're drunk.
Of course I'm drunk.
That might be a touch worthwhile. It might also help if I remember to unmute an audio input in OBS as we go live. Good evening, everybody. It's been one of those weeks. There's been so much insanity, and we're gonna keep it just to the wonderful escapism world that is produced media. Yay.
Wait, you're calling Star Trek Discovery produced media?
I'm trying to be nice with it so they don't mess with the monetization.
Yeah, I mean, okay. It could be worse. I mean, it could be worse.
No, that
Can't
is
think of
actually...
anything.
That is something that I actually noticed, and we can thank Undoomed for this one. He did a video talking about Discovery recently.
Did he now? I follow him, but I don't think I'm subscribed. Like, I'm subscribed, but I don't think I have the bell turned on for him.
So I found out about it because of Twitter. He posted a screenshot from his YouTube studio showing that video as monetization on, monetization limited due to ad suitability, and he was wondering, the hell did I do? What the hell happened? And the prevailing feedback he got from myself and others was, you talked about Star Trek Discovery in a fair, unbiased manner.
Oh, that would be it. Yeah.
Yeah, because every stream that I have mentioned, or someone on the panel has mentioned Star Trek Discovery in a properly critical way, those streams have gone yellow and have stayed yellow. But then the last handful of Veteran Talk Weekly episodes, which stay tuned for that after a short hiatus after this show, we have had some of the most deplorable humor and gameplay and conversations going on the last month. Haven't had to review a single damn one.
So you're talking about this tweet right here.
Yes. Oh, it was Picard.
It was
Same
Picard.
vein. Same vein.
Yes, it is. Wow.
But the timing of that tweet from Undoomed kinda was fortuitous, because it coincided with me watching the video from, oh god, which reviewer was it? It was either Az at Heel versus Babyface or Critical Drinker. Well, or one of those that I randomly stumble across, where they were reviewing the season finale of Star Trek Discovery Season 3. And there was one little peek and reference in there that just caught my attention. So apparently, a foil of this past season decided to talk to the chief of Starfleet operations to try to get a trade agreement with certain member worlds. An Orion trader trying to establish a trade availability with certain member worlds of the Federation.
Hold on. Let me step in here really quick. Are you trying to tell me that they're trying to make the Orion sound... They're trying to make the UK sound like the Orions, and the Federation is the EU?
Possibly.
Oh God.
That would not surprise me in the least if that's
That
where
would
they were
actually make more
going.
sense, actually. It makes a lot of sense, actually, now that I think about it, but...
Yeah, it'd be one of the few intelligence things that they have done in that series. But what actually got me was the whole Major Grin then doing a compilation when it comes to currency and actual value in Star Trek. Because there was reference from the Orion Trader, the Orion Cabal leader. Let's be a little more honest with the description of the character, about a trading outpost that is a Starfleet deep space station. Which, of course, many people are going to be like, hey, that's a nod to Deep Space Nine. But they wouldn't exactly be right.
Yeah.
Because let's see who out there remembers. Who is the actual owner of Deep Space Nine, at least during the time on screen that we see during the show Deep Space Nine?
Wasn't it the... It was supposed to be the Bajorans, but they asked the Federation for, lack of a better phrase, protection.
Well, so the station was owned and operated by the Bajoran provincial government following the occupation by the Cardassians. The reason why the Federation was there is because they were going through the process of how much help is the Federation going to give to Bajor? How is Bajor going to fit the criteria and gain acceptance as a member world into the Federation? And also, because of the Bajoran militia, yes, they needed help with self-defense and protection from not so much the Cardassians outright, but just the galactic realm in general. So, with that, the station, its operation and administration ultimately was under Bajoran control. The Federation was there as a support and advising staff, to say the least, prior to the Dominion War, that is. And even after the Dominion War, prior to Bajor joining the Federation, it was still in that dual state. It was almost... a good comparison would actually be... let's look at Sasebo. Naval Station Sasebo in southern Japan. It is owned by the Japanese government, leased out to the U.S. Navy, operated and staffed by both the U.S. Navy and the Japanese, and it is essentially a joint base for both. Same with a number of the air stations around there. Atsugi being one of them, Iwakuni further south being another, where the U.S., in this case Starfleet, is there as invited guests to help manage things and help carry things on. So with that, to say that there's trade that happens on a Federation space station that is Deep Space Nine, not exactly accurate.
So here's Deep Space Nine.
Sasebo. Yep, one of the ports that the carrier will pull into where there's no pier side for it.
Oh, yay.
Yeah,
I
gotta
see.
anchor out there.
So this is Deep Space Nine, so this would be Deep Space Two in the Federation Sol.
That could be a good comparison for it. But
So
so,
this is what would we call this? The Kling? Nah, we can't call this the Klingon Empire.
uh,
I mean, they do get pretty wild up there. Those Canucks.
that they do.
Just look at what Chech did to her foot.
Oh.
I feel bad for her for that, though.
Well, to be fair, she is a goblin, so it looks worse than it is. The cut was only about a centimeter long. That's about all. It was.
So you're saying it's bigger than Red's? Okay.
Oh,
Hey, I'm trying to keep us monetized. Insulting Red's the only way that I know.
you have a good point there. But back to the actual topic. It did bring back the question of how does trade and the economy with the Federation work? And that's where it does get interesting, because we do have a real world example of what it actually appears to be in an idealized form. From the way the Federation is put on screen, the way it is actually talked about, the way it is portrayed through multiple installations, you have internally, so trade within the Federation with other Federation member worlds is as close to an idealized socialist network and setup that you could come up with. No currency, no real limitation. Hey, you need this raw material, you need this goods or service that this world is specialized in. Hey, you're getting support from all the other member worlds to increase and help with what you need elsewhere. You are providing this to to steal a Warhammer reference, you are giving up your goods to the grand and greater Imperium as a whole. So internally within the Federation, you have minimal references to actual currency exchanges, actual bartering from the member worlds themselves. But that doesn't hold true for externally.
Like dealing with the Ferengi, for example.
Or going back so far as to even references within the first episode of Encounter at Farpoint. Where...
Or the first episode of Enterprise? Or was it?
Well,
No,
Enterprise...
I'm sorry.
Enterprise
It was
was
season 4, actually. Never mind.
Well, and even then, Enterprise was pre-Federation.
No, I know. I was thinking about it from a... I was thinking of the different worlds that they dealt with and had to deal with financially, and trying to barter out what they could do, what they couldn't do.
Yeah, well, and it was still similar there, where you have more of a true barter system from inside the Conclave to outside. And Rex, that is a very good point. That oftentimes for a member world to be accepted, there needs to be a benefit, there needs to be further reason for acceptance into the Federation. And part of what gave the Bajorans that leverage was actually the proximity to the wormhole.
Oh, Google moderator team. That is a great one. The Federation just used data to win money at poker.
You know, there actually has been aside from individual gambling and everything, I mean, Dax constantly, routinely winning against the Ferengi, kind of put a new slant on things to where individuals holding currency and gaining assets that way was not unheard of, just uncommon. Yes,
Yeah.
Tongo Champ Dax. But you have that use of currency in that sense being strictly with non-Federation aligned worlds. You have it where that bit of commerce, that bit of exchange goes outside of the Federation. So you do have a current real world parallel with China, where China internally is a socialist nation. But they have taken the capitalist side of external interaction and kept it at the government level for the vast majority of it. If not direct government control, strict government oversight. So it's kind of funny when you think about it that the Federation is like China.
Yeah. And the EU is trying to get there too.
But if we really want to go down that rabbit hole, I mean, there is one side of thing, one aspect, one particular nuance that the Federation has more in common with China than it does with the EU. And that's the occasional crime against humanity.
Oh, come on now, Jared. They were just trying to do it for the greater good.
Yes, but how many people does it take before a forced relocation is wrong? 10? 100? 1,000?
Hey, don't be ratting out my cloaked transport ship. Come on now.
Rex, I was gonna get around back to that, to where for a while, and even into early TNG, there was mention of Federation credits. Now, here's the question. What were those credits actually good for? We never really got much more of a reference other than that Federation credits were a thing. Now, you also had reference to other aspects of it, such as transporter credits, where Academy attendants and other Starfleet personnel would accrue credits to actually use the transporter systems for travel. As a matter of fact, in Deep Space Nine, at one point, Sisko himself mentioned that he would use pretty much the entirety of his transporter credits his first year in the Academy just to go home and have dinner with his dad in the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And Rex brings up another good nuance with the Federation credits, and this is where I would also compare that to what Beverly did in Farpoint in the Fabric, where every Starfleet officer has credits available to them that can then be exchanged into whatever currency the external planet that they are visiting utilizes. So you have that exchange rate. You have that, well, the Federation, because they're dealing with people not under their purview that are using a currency of some sort for trade purposes, they need to be able to effectively interact and deal with those cultures because, as has been said many times, Starfleet is an exploratory body, primarily.
My one thing about the credits, just thinking about it, is that I would look at it as an early explorer trying to trade and barter, but you don't want to give up your ship's supplies, so you bring along what you would value as trinkets, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you know, bringing up bad history here for people, but buy Manhattan Island for a few beads and mirrors and knives. Not that that's exactly what it was, but you kind of see what I'm going with that, right?
It was severely devalued because there was that communication difference, that barrier between in understanding of what is and is not of value.
Yeah. I wonder how the universal translators work that out, because it's like, how do you know what the value of, like, for example, Crusher's wanting to buy the fabric? How do you know what the value of the credit is supposed to be to that person, that world's currency? Now, obviously, with this world specifically, they had been researching them. They have been trying to meet the criteria to become a member world. So I'm sure that that's already been programmed. But say you show up at, I don't know, name
Well,
a world that they have to stop and get supplies at.
oh, I would agree with Rex though. Like, how would you know what the value of one Quatlu is? I will give TOS this. They appear to be far more creative in the naming and renaming of things, such as the unit of currency. And also some of the games. I mean, actually, random question. Would anyone want to play a game of Fizbin?
Uh,
I'm I'm not remembering which episode that was, Burnson. How is Burns not right? You know what? It's
he's
just weird.
that's why.
I don't know who let Burns run around naked. But it really does.
Hold on a sec. I'll be right back.
Yep. It makes it interesting how they decided to really world build this, because it was said a number of times that currency and wealth accrual in that manner died out with the Third World War, as man turned to the stars and grander exploration. That idea of individual wealth and collection of assets fell by the wayside, and man started pursuing more artistic ideals and more of your paradise world type. All right, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that episode. Um, but this does show how not everything was really thought out, and how they kind of had to wing things even early on in TNG. And this is where, as a fandom, we gotta cut them some slack every now and then on some of this stuff. Ah, I remember the episode now. Yep, okay. Is there any chance that the Federation simply has currency, except it's been misconstrued in such a way where people don't actually understand what it is they're doing? That is possible in that actually goes back to the Federation credit idea, where there's not the same sort of economic drive that we have in our current world and culture, to where they're getting the credits, they're doing what they would like, they're pursuing what they would like to do, and there's no direct correlation between the work they're performing or what they're doing and the amount of credits that they are then able to access. And that gives them the flexibility to run with the replicators, utilize a transporter as opposed to using a shuttlecraft for transportation. You have that divvying up of very, very almost minuscule resources, in the sense that your mode of travel is such low importance in this grand scheme of things, but those are the types of things that they're utilizing their credits on, be it a certain material from a different member world, or again having those exchange rates between a Federation credit and the currency that an external power is using. I'm looking at you, Bones, and your border ship that constantly brings you a medicinal supply of Romulan ale. Because it's running the border, and because there's trade being done by that ship amongst multiple different entities, they've got to be operating with some sort of currency that has to be equated across, such as if they're going from the Romulans to the Klingons to the Federation and any solitary non-allied worlds in between. They got to be able to operate in all of those areas and know whether or not they're actually pricing and valuing the goods, services, and assets that they're conveying properly.
So did we answer Mute Donkey's question in the chat?
Can you make money being a game streamer in the Federation? Are there video games in the Federation? That's called the holodeck, and...
Wait.
Maybe?
Don't forget what the what is it, Riker brought back from Ryza when Wesley was back visiting from the academy? No, he wasn't in the academy yet.
No, he was.
Just before... He was? Oh, yeah, he was, because it's such a blur with him.
Well, they had to write him off in a way to... there was background story on why they did it, in addition to the audience not really liking the character. But you know what? They needed more Leffler. I don't remember. I don't recall the name of the game, but I do remember what you're referring to. But to try to equate that to what some people are trying to do on this platform, no, I don't see. I can see how a writer could utilize a lot of the technology and avenues they have available to eke out a living. I mean, the Federation isn't the only civilization with holodeck type technology. And you have the holo suites that are run by Quark, that he's always looking for a new good addition to his offerings for his clientele, and some of them are rather picky. But wait a minute, that one, was it Wayoon? Was it Brunt? I don't know.
Are you trying to figure out which Sheriff Coombs character it was?
Yes.
Well, speaking of Asterox comment about McCoy trading Quarterzine for booze, it wasn't his booze. It was his medicinal supply of Romulan ale.
Yes, we have to be proper with the terminology there. And yes, part of why latinum was ended up becoming a currency is because you were not able to replicate latinum itself. And latinum itself could not be suspended in a pure manner physically. It was liquid.
Yeah, I was gonna
And
say, wasn't it liquid in its purest and most rare form?
correct, which is what made it valuable, and that's where the gold pressed latinum came into place, because you're literally taking gold dust, infusing it with the latinum liquid, and pressing it into a bar to give it the physicality for proper transport and handling. But then you have someone like Morn pull off quite the heist and extract all the latinum from the bars and hold it in one of his stomachs, which is why he actually ended up losing his hair.
Mm-hmm. It's quite. I remember seeing those episodes on because I used to watch Deep Space Nine when it first came out religiously, just like you did, you know. But not until I go back and watched everything again that I'm like, how do I not remember this part of the storyline?
Yeah, it was. Deep Space Nine has definitely aged far better than its contemporaries of the Next Generation and Voyager.
Speaking of Voyager, looking at how they had to trade when they were in the Delta Quadrant, it I think it was meant to be the early capitalistic nature of society here. That I have some, or not even. Well, I mean, it is technically capitalism, I guess, but the old trade and barter system. You know, I have something you want, you have something that I want. Let's see if we can make a deal. Like the episode where the telepaths steal the thought from Balana.
Ah, yes. The one where a Klingon lost her ridges and ended up becoming a constable.
Pretty much.
But yeah, you have that where different societies and have different standards, different criteria, and with that one in particular,
And different black markets.
oh yeah, yeah, to where it it actually did end up very nicely showing ignorance of the law does not make you immune from the law. I mean, just because the Voyager crew didn't know of that potential, they still wanted to punish B'Elanna simply for having that thought, that inclination. Whereas it's so foreign to the crew, to those from the Federation, to police thought. Quite literally, she was being put on trial because a thought she had was extracted and then shared, which then ended up culminating in actual violence and the beating to death of multiple citizens.
Mute Donkey has a very valid question.
Hmm.
What would Among Us be like on the holodeck?
It would be a lot like the last time we played it last week.
I know. I've been meaning to ask you if I could get the clip of me killing you off at the end of that game. Nobody believes me that I had to kind of mini hunt you down to get you that last second.
Oh. Or about Hillel Finder going through the vents to pop up in front of me as I was going to try to push the button to report him. But see, that's a reason to be a channel member right now.
It is.
we have been doing some gameplay off air that I have been recording and then posting to the channel for members only. Oh, Rex, we're going to be getting into Synthahol in another episode because that has come up recently too. Granted, it came up because we ended up on Thursday watching the episode Relics.
Love that one.
Please clarify by registration. NCC 1701. No bloody A, B, C, or D.
The sad part is I could picture you actually saying that and with the same head movements that Scotty was using.
I can neither confirm nor deny that at this time. I mean, if you're... There are certain subtle moments in Trek that are just so iconic, and that is one of them. Yeah, anyways, we could easily get sidetracked from that.
Oh, I could. Because I was just thinking, like, you when you talk to sailors from the past about your time, and then now we're the old guys talking to sailors now, you know, it's like you kind of feel like Scotty at that point being on the Enterprise. Like if I went back into the Navy right now as an officer, I'd be like, where the fuck is all the fun we used to have?
Yeah. Yeah, there's... And that episode really did hit home a primary message that sometimes all a person wants, all a person needs is to feel useful.
Don't tempt me, Burns.
Oh, God.
Don't tempt me.
God. Wait. Can you do it with enough lens flares, though?
I have story blocks. I can get enough lens flares if I need to. I'll even start the Mission Impossible lighter scene or match scene too, just to get the lens flares kicking off.
Oh, jeez. Oh, and Mute Donkey, with that, there is a that whole thing of don't tell him how long it actually takes. Otherwise, how can you keep your reputation as a miracle worker? Funny thing happened at work on Friday. My boss thought something was only going to take about 10-15 minutes. Myself and one of the other guys that I work with had to say, no, this is minimum going to take a few hours, because the customer decided to replace one display interface with a completely different model type, completely different brand. And because of that, the program has to be completely rewritten. You can't just change the device type and, hey, it works. No, not one of those.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, Rex, that is a wonderful point. The JJ verse would have looked like Space 1999 had it not been for the lens flares. But we're getting off the topic here a bit. It very much seems like there is a touch of misunderstanding, even within the Federation itself, about do they or do they not have currency? Do they or do they not have money? Now, it would say that, yes, they have currency. The credits that have been talked about in TOS, in TNG, and I'm sure there have been a couple other references outside of that where they talk about something that is handled as a currency. But it doesn't have the strict monetary value like is that our current money has today. But it's still used the same way. So each of those instances in TNG where they told the people who were brought back to life after being frozen because their medical conditions couldn't be treated with the current technology, but we can freeze your ass. A couple of them were businessmen, and one of them wanted to check on his investments, and it's like, your investments are bye-bye. You have no money. People do not pursue wealth anymore. Which, if you're in a true socialist idealized world, that would be the goal, to where there is no fiat currency, where everyone has access to what they need without any issue, hurdles, or problems. Problem is, a socialist setup like that does not work unless you have some sort of agreement with your external partners.
Yeah. You mean like how Russia didn't really have that when they were the USSR, and how China didn't have that because they had the USSR and for a little while
Initially,
and
but
North Korea,
yeah, and
and
that's where I go back to comparing the Federation to China, because what we have in the real world as the most consistent comparison is just that. I mean, granted, God's Author just mentioned it, where being post-scarcity alleviates a lot of what has led to the economic system that we have on this planet. If we did not have the resource limitations and the resource concerns that we do, there'd be no reason for a lot of the trade agreements and everything that we have. There wouldn't be the reason for a lot of the conflicts that we have, because when it comes down to it, a lot of the conflicts that we have faced between people, between tribes, between states, between nations, has all boiled down in one way or another to, I believe I deserve more of this resource that I do not have locally, and I want more of it from there, or I need to protect myself because these assholes are trying to come into my place to take this resource I do have control of because they want it and don't agree with the negotiation side of it. You have so many conflicts that boil down to simple resource allocation and management concerns. So yeah, you get rid of resource scarcity. Why couldn't we go to a more pure and actual theoretical application of socialism, in that you want this for food? Okay, here you go. I think that would be such a mind job to people, that there are at least 2 generations of people who would not be able to handle that sort of shift.
I think it would be more like 3 or 4, but
I'm going low side, like minimum. Your 2 oldest generations, no chance or near no chance of being able to cope with that dramatic of a change. More generations from places that have been more historically resource poor and downtrodden, like people who are used to being those punching bags, they're going to take even longer to be able to adjust to it properly. Let's see here.
And that is a problem that I would gladly let society tackle there, LRJ88. If you get rid of resource scarcity, you sadly run the risk of running into other issues instead, such as people not knowing what to do with their life. I'm guessing that's why there's also such a huge shift in the Federation to find other things to do to further themselves instead.
And that's exactly it. Because you're not resource focused, because you're not wealth focused, you have to deal with yourself. You have to deal with your own demons, your own wants and desires, and your own mental hang-ups. So that really would be the biggest problem that a lot of people have, is that transition to post-resource scarcity. What are we going to do? Think about how many people, just in the current, let's just look in the 20 to 40-year-old age range. Just that grouping. Just the prime worker years of someone's life. Everyone that's in that pocket. How many of those people have jobs, have pursued an education for the purpose of working a particular profession? How many of them would stay in their chosen profession if they never had to worry about money, resources, or anything of that nature ever again?
Well, it depends on what strikes their fancy. I mean, if you look at the post scarcity of resources, kind of in the enterprise era, where they were just getting to the point where they weren't having to worry about resources. They still had a little bit of worry, but not much. They were already starting to find, what do people want to do? You have some people that are being freight haulers, and it's a family tradition, and you actually grow with the families on your ship, so to speak, with the various people there. Then you have, then as you progress forward through the timeline, you find out that there's, in the Federation, you have people who are still studying archaeology and history and stuff like that. We talk about it all the time when we're talking about Space Seed with Khan.
Oh, MacGyvers,
yeah. And then you have Chakotay and Voyager, who is an anthropologist. If they truly love what they're doing, they will stick with it, But then you have those that want to change their job all the time, that just get bored.
Hi. Now, great.
I mean,
I laugh when I say that, but it is true. I've enjoyed that challenge of a new wrinkle to my experience. So I would be one of those where, if I was in Starfleet, I would be in engineering, and I would be that one that in the span of 15 years, I would have been on 3 or 4 different types of craft. I would have been on 3 or 4 different ships, just because, yeah, I got this good, I got this down, but how does that one work?
I know, because when I was getting out, when we were converting the Michigan over from SSBN to SSGN, they were bringing in, after they took out the ESGNs, they were bringing in RLGNs. Like, ooh, new toys to play with. I want to go to C school for that. After I go through shore duty, you know.
Yeah, you get that if someone has that curious nature, they'll find something to do. They'll find something else to pursue. Where it really gets to be a question and a more probable problem really are those people who the reason why they're doing the job they are is because of the financial benefits of it, not necessarily because they enjoy it or are passionate enough about it. They're literally doing it for the paycheck. But also a lot of your artists who have decided to do other things simply because I need to pay the bills. Imagine what would happen with the art and philosophy side of things if those people didn't have to worry about their day-to-day lives and their day-to-day minimum needs. If they could just create, if they could just embrace and pursue their art.
Well, think of it this way. Here on YouTube, we are the artists, so to speak. Imagine if we didn't have to do any work and we could just focus on the content that we want to create. So, there's still politics to deal with in the world. I could literally just focus on that all day if that's what I wanted to do in a world like that, in a post scarcity world, provided it's not a one party state and, you know, what the news tells me is accurate, even if that's not what actually happened. But never mind. We'll digress away from China for a bit.
Oh,
No,
I have a feeling VTW is going to be quite spicy after this.
but the point I'm getting at is that how many YouTubers out there are would rather be doing that as a full-time job rather than what their day job is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Blue, I'm right there with you. There's a reason why I said that. I'm that one that I'm always looking for the next challenge. The engineering types are not the ones I'm worried about saying, oh, fuck it, if money wasn't an issue anymore. Management is the issue. But yeah, you would still have politics. You would still have diplomacy. You would still have other avenues. But what I like about that idealized post-scarcity setup, where there's that huge economic shift to where people's primary basic needs are covered and taken care of no matter what. Maybe then we can actually get political leaders who actually know what the fuck they're doing and can actually do what's needed for the greater good, actually keep the conversations going, have the dialogues going, and actually reach the compromises that need to be reached.
Asterex has a quote for you there.
My favorite engineer once said, if it ain't broke, fix it. Oh, God. Yeah, and then you have the engineers who come in after him and ask, what the fuck? Why is it like this? Hi, I'm that follow-on engineer. Wrote no last name says, without money, everyone becomes a hobbyist. Technically...
Not necessarily.
Well, no, technically speaking, he's not wrong. Because because if you're not doing it for a paycheck, if you're not doing it for that professional reason, then technically, yeah, everyone would be a hobbyist. However, you would still have inventors. You would still have those engineering types, wanting to pursue and have things work better. Have things improve. Find a better, easier, more reliable way to do something. Or, hey, I really enjoy the idea of working on these sorts of projects, that I want to learn more about working on this type of control equipment. And you have that thirst and pursuit of knowledge. And when it comes to engineering, yeah, you can get the basic principles from a formal class, from a sit-down environment, and get the theory of it, but you don't really fully understand it until you get your hands dirty. And that is a thing that I think Blue will agree with me on. I have never met an engineer who did not enjoy getting their hands dirty in some way, shape, or form.
Jesus Christ, tipster. I'm in his Discord server and I got a notification and it's like, hey, everybody, just a brief reminder of where you can keep up to date with me and my content. And lists out literally everything he's got.
Well, if some people don't know.
Oh, I agree. And well, I'm sure we'll discuss this on VTW, but in the current climate, having multiple outlets is a good thing.
Yeah. True. That is quite true.
I digress. I agree that even I, who's not very engineering inclined, if I think of something that I want to build, I would rather build it, fail, build it again, fail until I get it correct the way that I want it to be, than to be like, okay, this is how you do it. Go do it. It's like, no.
Yeah. I've often daydreamed about this scenario. Money is not an option. So don't have to worry about cost size of anything. What would I want my house to be like? What would I want from my house in my regular... If I could design it, if I could have everything that I wanted, what would my house be like?
The Winchester house?
Damn close. I actually did start speccing it out, and yeah, it was it would qualify as a small mansion with the size of everything, but with the way it would be laid out and the way my head went about everything was the master suite and my wife's office is in one area. Then you have the kitchen, dining room, living room, all in an open floor plan in the middle. And then you have the kids' rooms, laundry room, and office, gym combination on the other side of the house. So yeah, my office with the gym would be away from where the wife is doing all her work. Because, hey, sometimes you need that physical distance when you're pursuing different things. But in the middle, so this was actually ends up being in a horseshoe shape. Ranch, single floor, horseshoe shape. In the middle, off of the living room into the back, between the wife's office and master suite on one side, my office and gym on the kids' rooms on the other side, in the middle, pool and hot tub. Here's the kicker. And we got something from Broden, no last name. I'll read that in just a second. Here's the additional fun bit of it. Attached garage that would actually be built below the other side of the house, where the kids' laundry room, all that stuff is. Under that side of the house would be an oversized 3-car garage with the last oversized bay being near double to hold all the motorcycles and appropriate equipment to maintain everything there in the garage. That way you come in, go into the garage, you leave the garage, you're in a stairwell where there's actually a utility closet right there with full wired network for the entire house access there, and of course got to go with the advanced IT side of things there. You go upstairs, and then you're in the rest of the house. So yeah, basically, if I were to make this house real and be a thing, I need to win the fucking lottery.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you because as much as my wife wants to have a one level house, I'm like, no, I either need a basement or an upstairs office area, and there will be soundproofing between the levels because I'm having a studio put in. Like, I'm talking like a 48 channel mixing board in there and everything. Just so I can have a projector going to it to play speakers for the movies and games that I play.
Yeah. That was another thing I thought about putting in, was an actual theater downstairs under the living room and everything, but it was like, yeah, that might be a bit much. But that was actually something that I was looking at too, having proper soundproofing in too, so it would be better for recording both in my office and hers. So yeah, there was definite function into it, and Blue, seems like our ideas aren't too far off. Although with the kids, I was thinking my place would end up being 1, 2, 3, technically a 4-bedroom. So
I was going to say though, with your garage idea, you know that not all the motorcycles and the equipment's going to fit into that oversized double bay third section of the garage. You know it's spilling into the middle one.
oh, no. See, this is where you're forgetting what would be parked outside.
The cars.
No. No, a trailer for when I decide to take 1 or 3 bikes to the track.
Only 3?
I didn't want to do an entire semi-trailer to take all of them. Plus, the bikes I was looking at, a couple of them aren't really track worthy.
Oh, okay. You got to have the couple of the the roadsters just to cruise on for once in a while.
Yeah, so if people want to get an idea, my garage lineup for just the motorcycles, keeping the monster I have now, because I've really have fallen in love with that thing. I'm never getting rid of that thing at this point. But I would add a Multistrada, a Diavel. I would also get my hands on, if I were to go with the current year's models, the V2. But I would also try to get my hands on a couple older ones, the 748, and also a 996 or 998. All Ducati, all taken care of. So you're looking a fleet of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 bikes, which if one is on the platform getting work done, the other 5 are rideable. If a couple of them are going to be set up for track only, so those would only be in the trailer. Kinda does add up in that way. But so for the super chat from Rodent, no last name, that came in, drop some gold plate latinum to sup the channel. Ooh, yeah, that's another thing. If I were to win the lottery, I really don't know how much I would stay working with the company I'm at now, because I would probably end up relocating to a different state, building this house, getting the motorcycle fleet, or at least a couple of them, and doing more stuff on YouTube and that side of things, simply because if I don't have to work as much as I have been, and I can have time to ride more often, I can get more raw footage and actually do more with that footage. I did enjoy doing that, and I really did not enjoy this past year how I wasn't able to ride as much. I maybe got on the bike 6 or 7 times in the past year. And yes, the computer would be upgraded, but that's a drop in the bucket compared to everything.
Well, I was just looking at the payouts here, at least according to the Washington State Lottery. Okay.
Powerball and Mega Millions right now, if my math is right, after taxes lump sum, I'm looking at about between 220 and 260 take home.
Okay. That, I'm going to assume that's because the cash payout that they're listing here doesn't have the taxes taken out.
Correct.
But the cash payout would be for Powerball tonight, 362.7 million.
Yeah,
For-
so
and
you're
that's in
looking at
Washington
about
State.
250 after taxes. Now
And
see,
then
now this
the-
is the thing is this wouldn't be an overnight change in investment on to get to those things. Anyone who wins and plays the lottery, that's your choice if you do. If you play the lottery, do not take the annuity. Take the lump sum, pay off whatever debt you have that you want to, take the majority of it, and invest. Make that lump sum make its own money. You will make more by doing that in the same amount of time than if you were to take the annuity.
So, God's Auditor has something he wants me to share with us. The
Oh
audience.
boy. Let's see what he has to. And Tektron, lotto money doesn't last long for most who win it because they don't know how to handle that money and end up overextending themselves and spending it all. That is exactly it. Whoa, go back.
Did I just stop sharing? I meant to click hide. Hold on.
Yeah.
There we go.
That?
Now imagine a projector or a
not
screen
bad.
going here from the projector.
That actually, I like the twin setup like that. And that's where I thought about doing something similar like that, to where it would be remote access, remote activity, but a nice high quality screen. Wait a minute.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
I thought so.
Popcorn buckets, I'm assuming. Let's scroll a little
Well,
along here.
that looks like the head of BB-8, so
Yep. Thor, the Hulk. Another looks like Spider-Man, maybe popcorn bucket or something.
and that looks like Iron Man.
Deadpool.
Spider-Man's right there to
Oh yeah,
Spider-Man, Deadpool, Spider-Man. Huh. Yes, we are now judging you for your display above the screens.
As he would do to us.
Oh, exactly. Ah, TIE Fighter from the Rise of Skywalker. Aww. Alright.
Oh, yep, it is. It is a TIE Fighter now that you look at it closer. And no, that is not the mummy from Hotel Transylvania. That is the ghost Boogie from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Ah, Oogie Boogie.
I'm a huge fan of Tim Burton's work.
Yeah, Tekatron has it right. What my recommendation for if someone was to win the lottery, is especially one this side and you're the solo winner, the way to do it is just that. Don't. You can increase your lifestyle, but don't be stupid about it. Like,
Oh, I've always said that if I won, I'm not quitting my job. I'll just reduce my hours because, to be honest, the health insurance that I pay for me and my wife, is unbelievably good. Why give up that just because I'm rich?
see, and that's something that I've thought of is actually instead of leaving the company I'm with, I would actually
Oh.
end up
I was wrong and he was right. It was the mummy Murray. Murray, I think it is.
Murray
From
from Transylvania.
yeah, the angle. If the angle you look at it that he originally sent shows it looks like Oogie Boogie.
Ah, okay. I'm seeing it through Google, so it's not exactly the most clear on my end. New one? Ah. Okay, yep, yep.
Yep.
Yeah, much clearer. But the biggest thing is you have people who would still be chasing a wealthy lifestyle. Like that glamorized famous person lifestyle. And I wouldn't go towards that. It may seem it with some of the toys that I would have and some of the choices that way, but it's I would still need something to do. I would still find ways to occupy my time. But I would make it to where there was more balance in what I was doing because I need my me time. I need my healthy, leave me the fuck alone time, which is what I used to get on the bike of just go for a ride, have some fun. That was part of why this past year I didn't do anything on the Moto channel because each time I rode, it was to decompress
Be right back.
and not have too much in my head. Just get out there, focus on the road, enjoy being out and being amongst everything. If I was able to do that on a more regular basis, then getting footage and doing more stuff for that channel would have been easier and made more sense. There is that ebb and flow to life. There are way things change, and you never know what might happen. But as myself and Tech have said, if anyone gets any sort of financial windfall of any amount, be smart about what you do with the money, which I would recommend this. Get rid of any or all of your debt that is to your name as possible. Step one, get out of debt. Do not let that keep hanging around. And then at that point, make sure your life is comfortable and then invest. And comfortable, I mean, if there are repairs you need to make to the house, if your car is at 250,000 miles and needs work, do the work or buy a new car. Just be
I
smart
should
about
buy
it.
a fleet of Teslas.
You know, I'm hesitant about Teslas for only one reason. I drive too damn much. Uh-oh, what came in from B&H?
Well, first of all, they're trying to get me into their credit program. I applied once already and they told me no. Although my credit's improved since, so
Maybe.
I've got new underway socks.
Ah,
Part of my buying the new boom arm, which like literally, like I said, it just you push it and it just goes. So nice when it's brand new. Um, was that I got my wife her own pod mic. This is mine that I bought originally. I bought her a brand new one. So I thought I would get us each a new cover anyways.
Ah, well, yeah.
And then I got the dreaded tabs letter from the DMV.
No, Mute Donkey, I don't know much about the quality. I have not heard many negative things about it. The main thing with electric vehicles that I personally am hesitant on at this point is one thing only: range. I enjoy driving. It's part of why I like being in the field. I get to drive around on the clock and get paid for it, in addition to whatever I get to play with when I get to a customer site or when I'm in the office. Oh, purdy. And swing back.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about when it's not quite level right, and I don't know what's up with it.
Yeah. But with electric vehicles, if their range was more in tune with the distance I'm able to go with my car now, then I would consider it much more. Hey, Jay, want to get your hands on some orange paracord?
No, not really.
It might fix your problem.
Hold on. Hold on.
Oh, God.
I'll forget my mic collection, right? I think I could actually pull off the unique look for Halloween.
Oh, no. Are we sure we want to curse the interwebs with another one like that?
See, it even has a light too. So
God, you're right.
I would just have to plug it in via USB instead of XLR.
So still on par with his quality.
Yeah, actually, I think he uses the ATR 2100. I think. I have higher standards and go with the Samsung Q2U.
Well, what's your thought about flex tape to fix your issue?
Actually, what I just need to do is disconnect the base of the mount and double check that it's leveled properly.
Yeah.
That's all I have to do.
But you're getting some wonderful recommendations from the chat. We got the 100-mile-an-hour tape, the flex tape. I mean,
do I need to get the bandana and the vape pen too, and just wear a wife beater the whole time?
God.
I don't think people want to see that.
Well, people did vote for the dance.
That is true. They did vote for the Just Dance video that I'm still trying to figure out. I might end up just running a huge USB cable, or not USB, HDMI cable from the Xbox 360 in the living room to my wife's computer and record it there, and then transfer the file.
Oh, that would certainly be a way to do it.
And then I can use my GoPro as a camera to film me doing it. Just have to remember I can't play the songs that are in it.
But, well, if it's game, well, yeah.
God's auditor, that if I was gonna do that, then I'd have to wear a proper T-shirt. It'd still be white and stained, like his wife beaters are, but you know. And I'd also not mirror my image like he does. I don't know how many people have noticed that. His screen capture is of his camera is actually mirrored.
Wow. Wow. You know, I'll admit I haven't paid that much attention to it to notice something like that, but hey, you know, doesn't surprise me. But, oh God. You guys are encouraging bad behavior. Stop it. Just stop it. But we have successfully gone way off topic on this one. Shocking, I know. But
It wouldn't be any one of your produced live streams if it didn't.
oh no, not at all. But we have stuck mostly with the actual topic itself of people shouldn't be surprised at this point that the Federation is stupid when it comes to the idea of what is and isn't a currency while utilizing the principles otherwise. But until the Federation reaches its goal of having the entire galaxy under their purview, there's always going to be some sort of currency exchange going on.
The Ferengis won't allow it. Won't allow that type of hostile takeover.
I don't know. Ever since Grand Nagus Rom took over, the Ferengi have been rather progressive.
Well, that's true. For their detriment.
They still seem to be holding on well in the 25th century.
They don't want to do that.
Ooh. Rodent, no last name, does have a very good point, and this is exactly it. When money isn't an issue, you can go one of two ways. Jimmy Carter or Howard Hughes. You can either be useful or batshit fucking insane.
Sorry, I'm doing some math. Scary, I know.
Did you need to take off your shoes?
No. But actually, interesting thought. I'm actually what the Washington State Lottery's rules are about big jackpots, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And what did they say? How long? What's the difference between claiming a cash option or annuity? Mega Millions and Powerball are a cash amount calculated based upon the bond factor the day the winner claims the prize. So, and then you take out 24%. They're required to take out 24% for taxes on the prize.
Yep.
For U.S. residents, okay? So I just did the quick math of 24% of the Powerball winnings. So the cash option number that they list for the Powerball today, where did it go? Come on. Sorry. Wife is trying to stream too, so my download's a little slow. So, like I said, the cash option was 362.7 million for the Powerball, which has a jackpot of 470 million.
Mm-hmm.
It's the 24% of that is 112.8 million, which would leave you if the 24% tax was taken as to make it a cash option, basically.
Yep.
357.2 million. So it's within the ballpark, you know, the cash option. I know it's not how it's figured, but I always look at it to see how close the cash option would be if I were to pay the taxes if I were to do the annuity and pay the taxes every year.
Well, where you really end up making more through the cash option is the investment side of it. Because,
oh yeah, no, I know.
Well, not just that, because keep in mind, if you invest it properly, you are only then taxed on your withdrawals of the dividends. You're not... Once the cash option is taxed, it's not taxed again. So you have that aspect that you got to play with it too, because the way the taxes are calculated and managed is where it gets interesting. Now, here's another thing. For those who, again, are considering playing the Mega Millions or Powerball
Oh,
jackpot type lotteries, here is my recommendation for U.S. citizens doing it. Do not sign the winning ticket right away. Go talk to a lawyer, establish a trust, have the trust be the winner. That way, you can keep your anonymity. And also get a damn good accountant off the bat, too.
yeah, because many states, Washington included, if you sign the dotted line without a trust there, you have to be a part of the media day of the winnings, which means everybody's going to know what you look like, and if you've been trying to hold that anonymity on the internet,
Good luck.
you just lost it.
Yep.
I hate it when I go to my Twitter feed and I see an interesting tweet and then it goes away.
Well, speaking of Twitter.
Oh, you want me to bring up that cesspool thread again?
Oh, God, which one? There have been a few.
Oh, the one where apparently physics applies to the meaning of in order to create a more perfect union.
No. We'll let our Dix connoisseur bring that up in about an hour. Because he was having more fun with that one than I was. But with everything being what it is, the hell did it? Oh. Steve decided to send me the link for rum and coke. Apparently he forgot what day it is.
I didn't get the link yet.
He sent it to me on Hangout, so.
Yeah.
First thing I'm going to do is ask almost everyone I know to loan me $500. The ones that hook me up will get paid back with another $100K. Nice. That you know what? That could be interesting.
If I did it and I didn't have the trust, I have some of my family members that'd be like, "Hey, remember when I did this?" I'd be like, "Yeah, no, you're not getting anything."
Yeah, I have no problem telling family to fuck off. So hey. But with that, we're going to call this to an end. I need to get dinner, and we will be back on air in an hour.
About an hour.
Maybe less. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how froggy I'm feeling, and also how behaved the dogs are as they get to eat their dinner too. But in the meantime, stick around. We'll be back with VTW shortly, and more shenanigans. Who knows what the hell's going to happen this week? I don't even know anymore. Apparently, Twitter had finally realized that it can actually suspend people for doing shit that they're not supposed to. We just might get into that. See you all soon.